Thank you for joining Dr. James, Rini, and I, the Curiosity Conduit, for a look behind the curtain of letting destiny deliver. With 47 years of experience as a practicing psychotherapist, Dr. Rini brings profound insight into the dimensions of consciousness. I bring my own lens as a retired law enforcement officer, now immersed in the study of psychology. Together, we invite you into a dialogue where destiny meets awareness and curiosity leads the way. Today, we will discuss the ninth pathway, which falls under action. This conversation may lead to feelings of inspiration and curiosity, and it could also create some inner movement. That's all welcome. Life will reveal your destiny through all opportunities you keep yourself available for. So allow yourself to stay open and let's see what destiny delivers. So getting into the ninth pathway, it reads as such: act in ways that give and earn love and respect so that the ego can maintain a healthy balance between the inner and outer worlds by being better attuned to self and others through empathy and compassion. I love this so much. I'm super excited about today because we're talking about love and compassion and empathy, like all these things that are so warm, near and dear to me. It warms my heart. So tell me about this quote, what you think about it, and what was your thoughts for people reading it?
Well, these things that are in here, love, respect, compassion, empathy, are means for people to be connected. And it's so easy for people to be disconnected, probably more the trend than not. And love and respect are also needs. They're not just something that we might desire or want. We need them. We need them because they then nurture our destiny. Like Carl Sagan, the astrophysicist, went to the World's Fair as a kid, and he got this idea about life being on other planets. So he had this intense obsession with learning about outer space. And his parents totally supported it. They would get him books, they would give him every opportunity they could. And he became famous, became world renowned for what he was able to do, because that love and respect allowed him to have a healthier ego, because the ego did not have to spend all its time defending him against, we'll say, toxic forces. They were nurturing forces. And because he had a healthy ego, then he could have a healthier balance between the inner and outer world. Okay, if I don't feel safe, I close out the outer world. It's like a computer without a mouse. You really can't interface with it. You need a mouse. You need something to interface with it. So if we close ourselves off, we're not nurturing our destiny one way or another, be it good or bad. They still are steps to reaching our destiny. And when you are more loving and respectful and better balance between the inner and outer world, you have to be more attuned to self and others in order to maintain those connections. And empathy and compassion are natural ingredients that are a part of that. Problem is, not everybody is capable of experiencing empathy.
And who are those people?
Well, I don't have a list.
I don't mean that.
I know,
I don't
I
mean
know,
name
I
them.
know.
I mean, like, what types of people, other than a sociopath, but like,
Well, I would say that unfortunately, society is developing in such a way where people have less and less empathy and compassion. They're much more self-serving and self-centered. That's why everybody likes to throw around the word narcissist, because narcissists don't have empathy. They don't have compassion. They're very self-serving, selfish.
would you think that these individuals could, I guess, obtain the ability to have empathy? Should they work on it?
Well, that is a great question, as they usually are. It's all in the mindset, because a lot of people see empathy and compassion as weakness, same way as people see niceness as weakness. And because of that mindset, they don't identify it. It's just the opposite. Why would I want to be weak? I'd rather be strong. Empathy is for the weak. You can walk all over the weak. You can take advantage of them. The other thing that goes, so you have certain mindsets or constructs, I would say, that really are the structures that define who you are. So if you lack empathy, you see the world in a completely different way. You see people as objects, not as feeling beings that can feel joy or pain, and you can be a part of that joy or pain. You just see them as having something you want and that you're going to get it. And when you're done, you move on.
So to answer that, I will answer that or respond back with this quote. We need to give and receive love and respect because they are instinctual and therefore a basic requirement for self-health. In reading this, I automatically thought about the individual who kind of closes himself off and says, on the opposite end of this, love and respect has to be earned first. It's not going to be given. I'm not going to give that unless they earn it from me. What do you say about that?
Well, I'm going to separate love and respect.
Okay.
Because we fall in love, we don't fall into respect.
Okay.
Okay. And the difference there is when we fall in love, it's an automatic response. We don't will it. We can't necessarily get rid of it at will. We have it. And they are instinctual, love is, and respect, because they're necessary. And I think respect is and love are things that we need to require from people that we're in relationship with. If they don't want to give it, if they're not able to give it, that's fine. Then you move on. Because again, it's a basic requirement for self-help. If I'm not able to be loving, if I'm not able to be respectful, I'm lacking health in my own ability to be fully functioning human being. So to have a relationship, then both partners have to be able to love and respect. Now, for some people who aren't able to empathize, because empathy is, we're born with that ability. It depends on how many mirror neurons. Mirror neurons give us the ability to know the intention that other people have in what they're saying and how they experience us. For people who are not able to do that at that level, then have to do it at an intellectual level. Well, I understand how a person might feel if X, Y, or Z happened to them. They can't necessarily feel what they're feeling, but they understand that they would have that feeling and then operate as if they were empathetic. Now, on the flip side of that, a sociopath can understand what the other person is saying and communicate that, but they use it to seduce and exploit the person. Oh, this person understands me. They're safe. I can let them in. But they're not. It's a manipulation. They don't feel those words, but they know if they use them, they'll get that person to do whatever they want them to do for them. Use them up and then they move on. Whereas somebody who's, let's say, empathetic, because a lot of people have this trouble, they may be done with the relationship, but it's so hard for them to break up with them because they don't want the person to hurt. And so they may go days, months, years before they can break up with that person because they don't want to break their heart. So you can see the variations then in whether you have these things or lack them and the impact they have on the self and our relationships.
Yes. Love and respect nurture and activate our higher human potential. Does spirituality help with this?
What is this? What are you asking?
Well, being able to activate our human higher potential with love and respect.
Yes, I mean, that's why we're given these abilities. All the abilities we have are there to activate and embody our higher potentials. But like anything, they can be misused or omitted from our experience. But yes, we're given all the ingredients we need to truly be higher beings. Unfortunately, these are higher needs. And in order to achieve these higher needs, you have to be willing to improve your. And the lower needs are stronger, they're more powerful, and therefore more consuming. You know, the lower needs are like an addiction. You know, like a person who's a drug addict, they're consumed with the drug because if they have it, they're using it. If they don't have it, they're looking for it. So whether they have it or not, their whole life is controlled by that drug. And lower needs can be that way, like sex. Okay. It's a very powerful need. So a lot of people will spend their life pursuing sex. It's what players are. Their ego is invested in the seduction of women. So in order for my ego to maintain this high status, I got to keep adding to my body count. But you see, that lower need is so powerful and so rewarding in that, it feels good that we don't need to move on to a higher need. Why do I want to love somebody? Then comes with it all the responsibility and all the work and all the feelings when I can just, sleep with anybody and everybody and have my cake and eat it too.
So I was talking to my mother today, who is a very religious listener of this. And she's been putting in a lot of work, and we've been talking, and she come over this morning and she says, I am just loving being able to give people and show people love. And she talked about, respect, and she wants them to feel her bright light. And these are like some of her goals in life that with the time that she has left. And I said, well, you've obtained it. You're there. Like you are living right now that way, because she gives this example of talking to a neighbor. And so she's been trying to socialize, and whether it's people in the neighborhood or at the grocery store. And she's just been talking about how when she talks to people, then they're so happy, and then they start laughing, and that they're bright and showing like a brightness back to her. And I was like, Mom, you're doing it. Like, this is what you are putting out. They are reflecting. This is your reflection. This is so beautiful. And when you give love and respect, even to strangers who have not earned anything from you, right? But they also haven't done anything to you either. So why not? And show that love and respect that you have for yourself, and see that reflection through them.
It makes me think of this one client, and she isn't there anymore, but was in a place where she felt nobody cared about her. And I'm thinking about what's that like to feel like no one cares about you. And a complete stranger can make you feel cared for. And so, yes, having that love and respect and giving it out there can make a person stay. It can fill them, with a feeling of having value. One time not too long ago, I tripped on the sidewalk and hit my head
Oh,
and was bleeding and whatever, and this guy was driving by in his car and he got out, and he was a trainer for the Orlando Magic and whatever. He goes, "You got to go to the hospital and do this and do that." And, because it was really bad and looked bad. But I knew I just barely nicked my head, even though it
so
looked so terrible.
vascular. So
Yeah.
it always looks bad.
So I didn't pursue all that, but I really appreciated how much he was really adamant about me going to the hospital. And this was a complete stranger just driving by. And here it is, I don't know, a couple years later, and I still remember him as that caring.
It's a way to practice this.
Well, if people could just be that way, we would activate within each other those higher potentials, which again are harder to reach because the lower ones are so seductive, so enticing.
Yeah.
Food, water, food, drink, sex, and sleep are the lower needs, but they are so powerful. People love to drink, even, and alcohol included, or others of things, and eat. Who doesn't like to eat? I know people don't like to eat. I don't mean that.
Oh, I'm not one of those. I definitely love to eat. Clearly.
And sex, sex sells, as they say. Food will make. So these lower needs are powerful, and they're powerful because we need them for sheer survival, and therefore that's why they're so strong. We're really like growth. The desire to grow, to fulfill our destiny, is a weak need. It's very weak. It doesn't pull on us the same way that sex or food or sleep pulls on us. And so therefore we don't have the urges to self-actualize the same way we have urges to eat or sleep or have sex or that kind of stuff. And so, you really have to satisfy those things in a reasonable way so that you can move on to the higher need. I had a client, and I don't know if I've said this before, that his ego was so invested in the seduction of women that he not only had to sleep with them, they had to fall in love, because that really then made him special. Because maybe, lots of guys could sleep with lots of women, but could they get them to fall in love with them? And he wasn't in love with them. He just needed his ego stroked by them falling in love with him. But I got to give the guy a lot of credit. He came to therapy. He owned it. He wanted to fix it, and he did. Most people do not have that kind of motivation.
Most people don't have you as a therapist.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
It's true. I would like you to read the next quote.
Because of neuroscience today, we know that the human brain is social. Our relationships with others will determine what aspects of our nature will or will not be nurtured.
So, my question to this is, if you have a person who comes in and they just hate people, they just don't want to be around people, and they think they don't need people, what the effects could be of that?
They like pets.
To well,
Because I have had that. I mean, I have often clients come in, I don't like people. And so they put their love into pets because animals tend to be loving and trustworthy and loyal. And
so I recently gave this example to somebody who I'm very close with this past week, who also does not like people. I think that the individuals who say they don't like people, they truly do. They just like their own people, and they're really tiny groups because typically they're small, groups, and have been burned a lot. They've just been burned and hurt, and they're disappointed in people. But for this person, I gave them the scenario. I said, imagine day in, sitting where you're at, day out, no people around you, no nothing, day in, day out, every day, no people. No people to talk with, nobody to interact with, no nothing. And they gave the, like, mega gesture with their hand to their head as if they were going to do something terrible to themselves. I said, exactly, exactly. We need people. We are social beings. I mean, just that example alone just was put them in a dark place that they didn't,
well, see,
like that.
here's thinking as I'm listening to that, and I've had, people tell me that. And I guess, I'm having this thought for the first time, trying to find a way to maybe clarify what that person is saying, even though he or she didn't say it. When people say they don't like people, they're saying they don't like people that are evil,
Yes.
because there are a lot of evil people. And evil is destructive. It's damaging to self-health. It is contrary to letting our destiny deliver. They're like pirates. Toxic people are like pirates that come on your ship and raid it and then take what you have and leave. So it's hard to reach your destination when pirates are always getting on board and preventing you from getting there. But in what you said to that person has a truth to it. And that is that you want to associate with people that are good people, that are not evil.
Yeah.
Or strive to be good. I mean, we all have work to do on ourselves.
And I think it's important that you mention these things and that I'm talking about this also because I would say to this point right now, for the people I'm interacting with, most of them don't like people. And I want them to see a different side of what they're trying to say.
Okay, and that's why I would specify you don't like the evil that people can be,
Yes.
because, I like movies. I go to the movies a lot, and I came up with this diagnosis I created for myself. I suffer from MAD. It stands for movie affective disorder. Because I cry at movies all the time, halves and.
I do too.
But I told my wife that what movies make me do and why I cry is because it portrays people in the way I wish they were. And in seeing them in the way I wish they were, it moves me. It moves me to tears because it's beautiful. But the primary place I get to experience it outside my office is in a movie theater.
This makes sense.
Yeah. So evil is more powerful than good. It's easier. It's more rewarding. It's more immediate. It's just not really sustainable for a lifetime. Like I'm thinking people who rob 7-Elevens for an income, that's not really sustainable. How many, you have to have a steady flow of income. So you just have to rob 7-Eleven after 7-Eleven. Sooner or later, something bad is going to happen. Something wrong is going to happen. Unlike everybody else that goes to work, and they earn that living and whatever, that's sustainable. But evil isn't sustainable. You have to look over your shoulder. You can't trust anybody. Because all the things you are, you now project onto everybody else. If I'm a liar, well, I think you're a liar. If I'm going to cheat you, I think you're going to cheat me. Unfortunately, that's part of human nature. If I'm a good person, I'm going to think you're a good person. And that can be a trap too, because they're not a good person. But because I am, I can't imagine somebody thinking the way you do, because I would never think that. I had this teenage client one time, and he told me, this was back before, you could unlock your cars with your keys, just push a button. And he and his friend would go to parking lots and pour super glue into the locks and then wait and watch for the people to come out and try to unlock their car and not being able to. I would have never thought of that in my entire lifetime. Now he thought of that, and because he thought of that, I have that thought. But I don't have thoughts like that. So therefore, I don't think other people, I do, but most people don't think they can't think thoughts like that, so they can't imagine what kind of thoughts another person may have. And that's the problem with people that are naive and innocent. They don't know that evil exists. They think everybody else is like them. Of course, we learn from experience, but hate, I'd say, is a response to hurt. And people do inflict a lot of hurt on each other.
As the great Mudvayne says, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah. Misery loves company.
Yes, for sure. Okay. Love and respect promote spontaneity, creativity, and freedom of expression. If we have love and respect, we are free to be ourselves. Now, my question to this, I have lots of questions, but really the big one that came to mind is spontaneity important? Inquiring minds want to know. My mind. I think so.
Yes.
Obviously it's listed here, and I'm a very spontaneous person. So how important is spontaneity?
Very.
Thank you so much. All right, we're done here. No, okay.
I know, I'm just playing with you. Give me. Well, because it's the opposing force of consistency. Love and respect promote spontaneity, creativity, and freedom of expression because we feel safe to be ourselves. If we're in a situation where we don't feel safe to be ourselves, we then behave in the way that convention tells us to behave. And as long as we're behaving according to convention, we're not being ourselves. It's that moment of spontaneity we're allowing the self to shine through. And we take a risk whenever we're spontaneous because we don't know how that person's going to handle it. You may tell a joke that may just be offensive or may just, fall on its face, where with somebody else it may have been funny. So being spontaneous is being in the moment. Let's put it that way. How people want to be in the moment. Spontaneous is truly being in the moment.
And it's also there's less fear when somebody is being spontaneous. I think there's less fear.
Well, I'd say that because in order to be spontaneous, you have to feel safe. And if you're being spontaneous and feel safe, then the other person can feel safe too.
Yes.
So yeah, energy is contagious. We tend to absorb other people's energy.
That's good. Is there anything else that you can think of that you would like to add to this?
No, I don't have anything right off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, then
So no, let me I'm going to go back to something, that we said before about neuroscience and how it says that we are social beings. And how things like I hate people then causes us to turn against what is very natural. And one of the other things that people can do or that people say is that you shouldn't need someone else to be happy and that you should find that happiness within yourself before you get into a relationship. So I wonder if these same people will tell a newborn baby, you don't need to get attached to your mom to be happy. Learn how to be happy on your own. You shouldn't need your mom for love and attention and nurturance and those kinds of things. I don't think any parent would go that route.
Well, I like this comparison because the fact is at different points in our life, as we are learning, we are like babies, the things that we're learning.
And supposedly when we become geriatric, we become babies again.
No.
Yes, no.
Well, I guess it could like in having and needing to
Need to be taken care of. Yeah.
Well, no, that's not the point that I was going to make. The point I was going to make is that It's a point in life that I'm starting to see where they want to have fun like a kid.
Yeah.
And it's okay
Yeah.
to do that. As far as at what point, not everybody gets taken care of. Not everybody gets to make it that far. What a blessing, I'd say.
Yeah, my
But-
mother said that she didn't want to live long enough to be a burden to her children. And at the time, I couldn't imagine how she could possibly be a burden. But she got her wish. She died before she could be old enough to be a burden to her children. So be careful what you wish for. And going back to the thing that people don't like people, they prefer animals. They're animals. They treat them like people. They talk
Or
to
better,
them
or better.
or better. Yeah. They'll spend tons of money on their health and medical bills and.
Well, they're so cute, but they are not people.
Okay, but we treat them like people. That's what I'm saying.
True.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I see them now in little baby carts, and you put them in your purse and walk around like.
Well, it's cute. I don't do it, but it's cute.
I know little things are cute, and my wife every little baby. Oh, it's so cute. I go. You say that about every baby, every little kid, because little things are cute.
Yes, almost. That was all good stuff. Thank you so much, Dr. Rini. And thank you for joining Dr. Rini and I on this journey behind the curtain of letting destiny deliver. Join us next time as we will discuss the 10th and final pathway listed under action. Remember to subscribe and like, and questions or comments are welcome below. Now ask yourself, what part of your life might destiny be trying to speak through right now? Keep exploring, stay curious, and remember, destiny isn't something you chase, it's something you allow. Until next time, be well.